source documents are a very important way for us to be able to have a first-hand look into the past and be able to see what people thought about certain events and what events transpired during the course of history. Today in this video, we will be learning about how to read and analyze primary source documents. Primary source documents can be found in a variety of different ways. One of the ways is through libraries like the one that you see behind me, where you can find a variety of different books, such as this one. Another source is through the internet, where there will be a variety of different databases for you to look on that have primary source documents that have already been digitized for easier access. For this video, we will be using the U.S. Constitution that I have found on the internet from archives.gov.
Now that we have our primary source document, we are going to go over the 4 steps in order for us to read and analyze a primary source document. The first step is knowing the context of the primary source. After the Articles of Confederation had failed as a form of government, the American colonies got together after they sent delegates from each of the 13 colonies to argue and come to some sort of compromise on a new way and a new form of government. And in September of 1787, the U.S. Constitution was signed and came into law. From this context, we can paint a bigger picture of the kind of government and form of government that these American colonies hoped to create. The second step is to keep a question in mind as we are reading the primary source document. For this video, we will use the question of, in the U.S. Constitution, what do we learn about the duties of the House of Representatives and the Senate? Because each article of the U.S. Constitution is lengthy, we will be only using Article 1, Sections 1, 2, and 3. Having a question in mind helps to focus the reader on the certain keywords and phrases they are to look for to answer the question. Step 3 is to highlight keywords and phrases and write down thoughts that come to mind as we read the primary source. So while we are reading the primary source document, remember to keep a highlighter and a pen in handy. As you can see with the primary source document of the U.S. Constitution that I have printed out, I have already highlighted and written down things that I've found are important. This will help us focus and remember things as we go back to the primary source to look at the things that we have written down or highlighted to be able to help us to better answer the question that we have in mind. Step 4, the final step, is to, from the evidence that we have gathered of the primary source, be able to answer the question effectively or form an argument. It is always important for us to apply what we read in the primary source to the history that it encompasses. From the Constitution, we learn that the House of Representatives has the power of impeachment, while the U.S. Senate has the power to try those impeachments in all court settings and eventually bring them to court in certain cases. I hope that this video was helpful in learning how to understand to read a primary source, and that you might be able to implement some of the steps that we talked about as you read your own primary sources.
Found in your classroom. Your classroom is packed with creative potential. You have all the innovation you need right there in your room, and you have the power to make it happen. It's what happens when